Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Calamasa Insider. I am Will Kolbow, City Manager for the City of Calamasa on this Friday, November 22nd, 2024. And this week, we are going to give you some updates on our capital improvement projects, some of the major ones we have happening around town, things that you may be interested in or seeing. So I want to make sure that you have the latest on those. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about a couple of things. So tonight, because Thanksgiving falls so late this year, it's the latest it can fall on the calendar, which means we have the shortest holiday season. There's only, I think, 29 days between Thanksgiving and, 27 days between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So a very short holiday period that we have to deal with this year. So because of that, we're actually going to have our tree lighting before Thanksgiving. Now, I know for some people that's, blasphemy. We need to get, usually holiday, the Christmas season starts, the day after, Thanksgiving, and there's other, religious holidays that happen around this time as well. So we don't want to just talk about just Christmas, have Hanukkah and other religious celebrations as well. But tonight is our tree lighting at City Hall and Senior Center, located at 908 Park Avenue right here in Calamasa. It'll be from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's a completely free event. There's a lot of different booths, a lot of activities for the kids. We're going to have a special performance by the Mesa View Middle School Band, so we're looking forward to that. But come out and join us. It's really gotten popular. This is the third time we're doing it. And last year, we had a really big uptick in our participation from our first year, which ironically enough, the very first one that we did was my very first day as city manager of the city of Calamasa. So that was, this is always an event that will be special to me because it always signifies my it signifies the beginning of the holiday season, but it also it reminds me of my beginning with the city of Calamasa, which, to date has been just an incredible journey. And I can't, be happier to be here and to serve as your city manager. So again, please join us tonight for our tree lighting, City Hall and Senior Center, 908 Park Avenue from 5 to 7 p.m. So I've been giving you election updates for our city council race. So I'm going to do that again right now. So currently, as of last night, so they've been, again, they update these nightly around 6 o'clock. The current leader is still Eric Cundiff at 3,024 votes. That's 27.62% of the vote. In second place is Linda Molina with 2,507 votes, or 22.9% of the vote. Edgar Garcia is in third with 1,900 votes, which is 17.35% of all votes cast. In fourth place is Wendy Hewitt with 1,881 votes. That's 17.18%. And finally, Bill Davis with 1,636 votes, 14.94% of the vote. So currently there is a 19 vote difference between Edgar Garcia and Wendy Hewitt. Now at this point, the registrar is working on provisional ballots, damaged ballots, and ballots that need to be cured. So in other words, mail-in ballots that maybe didn't have signatures on them, or the signatures did not match what was on file. That can happen for a variety of reasons, as we talked about last week, but those take a little bit more time because now they actually have to go ballot by ballot and cure those before they can be counted. Or if they can't be counted, then they are thrown out. But they take every effort to try to rectify those. The last day that a ballot can be cured is December 1st. So if you signed up for notifications and for whatever reason you did not receive notification for a mailed-in ballot that you sent, it is advisable to contact the registrar's office to make sure, number one, that did your vote get counted or not, and maybe it's in those that need to be cured still. So if you haven't got notification on that and you're expecting to get notification, your best bet is to check with the registrar's office. Just a couple of notes that we mentioned last week. The election must be certified by the registrar no later than December 5th. And then one thing that I haven't really talked about, campaign finance. And so on our website at calamasa.gov, if you go under your government menu, then go to city council, then city council campaign contributions and statements, we have posted there the forms, the campaign forms that all the candidates are required to file. So if you go to those, you'll see them there. You'll see their initial ones. There's been 2 posted so far. They have to do a third one in January post-election to close everything out. The candidates are required to either fill out a Form 460 or a Form 470. These are standard forms provided by the Fair Political Practices Commission. The 460 form is a short form, and it's used if you spend less than $2,000 on your campaign. And the 470 is used if you spend more than $2,000, and that requires you to list a little bit more information and give some detail. So the threshold of whether you have to report detail or not is at $2,000. So that's the difference. So you'll see some candidates have a 460, you'll see some that have a 470, and that is why. Our last city council meeting this past Monday, the city council approved both public safety ordinances that were presented. I discussed these in further detail last week, so if you want to learn more about those, either watch the meeting or listen to last week's episode. The second reading for those will take place at the December 2nd meeting. Then the ordinance will go into effect 30 days after that, meaning January 1st. We also have a special meeting on Tuesday, December 10th at 6 p.m. at the Senior Center. During that meeting, the current council will certify the election results. The elected council members, whether they're new or reelected, will take the oath of office. The selection of the mayor will take place, and then all current commissioners from appointed commissions will be recognized. That's the Planning Commission, Library Commission, and the Parks, Trails, and Community Services Commission. And then finally, a recognition of any outgoing council members. So that will all take place at that special meeting, Tuesday, December 10th. It will still be streamed online, just like all of our other city council meetings, but that's usually a special one. So if you can attend in person, I advise you to do so, because there's a lot of recognition, and it's kind of neat to see the changing of the guard, so to speak. So I invite you to attend that meeting. So let's get to our project updates. Let's start with County Line Road, because there's a lot going on there, and that's when we get a lot of questions about. So the 3rd Street roundabout, got some good news on that. That is expected to open next week. So they're finishing paving yesterday and today, and then they have to just do signage, striping, things like that, and it'll be ready for traffic next week. So we're looking forward to that. And because that's going to be done now, and the South Mesa Waterline project is finished through the area, we're going to be able to do final paving on County Line Road between 5th and 3rd. So starting from just west of the 5th Street roundabout all the way through 3rd Street, you're going to have new pavement. The project will be fully completed within those bounds. Now, the South Mesa Waterline project still needs to be completed, continuing down County Line Road from that point all the way up to Douglas. Now, remember, the County Line Road Improvement Project only goes through Bryant, so it'll stop. The new pavement will stop at Bryant. So, but we cannot put the new pavement in until the water line is finished. So, that the water line project we expect to be done either in January or February. I'm just saying that a little bit. I think they want to get it done sooner than that, but just, out of an abundance of caution, and there's a lot of unknowns that could come up, we're going to say January or February. At that point, we'll be able to then go do the final paving for the rest of it through Bryant. And yes, that will mean that the reign of the world's largest speed bump on Bryant at County Line Road will come to an end, because we're going to have the road properly crowned. Obviously, with the base pavement, it's more flat, so the drainage doesn't work quite right, which is the reason that bump is there. But once the road is finally paved, that crown will be there. It'll direct the water into the storm drain facility, the catch basin that's on eastbound County Line Road, just east of Bryant. It'll capture that water, and then the need for the bump will no longer be there. So we'll have that removed. So we're looking forward. We kind of are starting to see the finish line in the distance here with this project, and it can't end soon enough. We know, we agree. However, there is another project that's a separate and unrelated. It's related but unrelated. in that it's a different funding source. It's a different, we view it as a different project, and that is County Line Road at Calimesa Boulevard. There will be a multi-lane roundabout. Again, this design was done years ago and was agreed to through a grant. So we're still constructing it that way. It will also fix the huge dip on County Line Road at the east side of Calimesa Boulevard, so that'll be nice. This project is federally funded by congressional project funding requested by Ken Calvert, $4 million. Previous funds for design and right-of-way acquisition provided by the federal funding through former Congressman Jerry Lewis. And also we used some street and traffic development impact fees for matching funds. So another project that we really haven't talked about is that much on the program anyway is the Calimesa Creek project, and that will have some impacts on County Line Road. So phase one of this project will put a storm drain in County Line Road between 5th and Park. It'll start from between 5th and Park down to Calimesa Boulevard. So there's a point where Calimesa Creek comes up and comes close to the roadway and then kind of parallels County Line Road. It goes under Park. There's an undersized culvert that goes underneath another undersized pipe, really. It's not even a culvert. It's a pipe that goes under Park and then down the creek. So we're going to redirect a lot of that water, save for some low flow that can continue through in the natural creek bed. And redirect the water into a storm drain facility that will then run from, like I said, between 5th and Park to Calimesa Boulevard. And then phase two of that project will build a basin on a 6-acre property on County Line Road just east of 3rd. Or just west of 3rd. So there's a vacant property next to the 7-Eleven that the city purchased for this project. It is funded primarily by Riverside County Flood Control District funds and also storm drain development impact fees. So that project is fully funded. We have a co-op agreement in place with the county to construct the project. We're just awaiting final plans on phase one, and that will go out to bid. And so you will see some construction activity on County Line Road once again. And that's another reason that we cannot do final paving on that stretch of the roadway until that project is complete. But we're hoping to get that done, that started soon, so that project can get over with and we can do final pavement. We've talked about the Singleton missing ramps here before. This project will add an eastbound off-ramp and a westbound on-ramp along with traffic signals at both the on and off-ramp intersections. We're still working on final environmental clearance and Caltrans processing, but we expect to have the missing ramps and the freeway portion of this ready for bid in fall of 2025. Now, the project also requires us to realign Calimesa Boulevard because we're going to be building we're going to build the second half of the interchange. Half of it's already there. We're going to build the second half. But in order for us to do that, Caltrans requires that Calimesa Boulevard be realigned to the east. So we're currently in right-of-way acquisition for that part of the project, and we expect to be ready for bid in sometime in spring of 2025, hopefully by no later than late spring 2025. This $13 million project for both the missing ramps and the realignment is funded by Regional Transportation Developer Impact Fees, TUMF, the Transportation Uniform Mitigation Fee. I described this further in episode 9, and I'm hoping to have the Deputy Executive Director of the Western Riverside Council of Governments, which administers the TUMF program, on to talk about that a little bit more. And we're also we also are slated to get a fiscal year 25 congressional project funding request from Ken Calvert. That's in the amount of $5 million. That is pending approval of the fiscal 25 federal budget. And then finally, Cherry Valley Boulevard. Now, I'm just going to briefly touch upon where we are with this because I already talked about this just a couple of episodes ago and gave a pretty detailed history on the interchange in episode 11. So if you are interested, you can go listen, and you haven't heard them already, you can go back to listen to both of those episodes. We are currently in the design and right-of-way acquisition phase of the project. Design has to get to a certain point before we can finalize the right-of-way map. But we expect that the right-of-way acquisitions will be very minimal. We're trying to keep the project within the Caltrans right of way, so that we don't have to acquire much, if any, right of way from private owners. And we expect that process to be done by the end of 2025. Now, staff is still working, as I had mentioned before, on lining up funding for the construction phase. So we estimate that we're going to need about $50 million in funding. And we are working with grant writers, professional grant writers, because to go after the grants that would fund this type of project and this level of infrastructure, the grant applications are very, very long and very, very detailed. Usually they're over 100 pages that you have to fill out. And then there's a lot of compliance things that have to happen if you do get the money. We also have to go and lobby for it in Washington, D.C., as I mentioned, I think in episode 32, which is something we're going to be willing and able to do. But, you have to really go out and try to advocate for the city. So the total project is expected to be about $75 million. So we have about $25 million in place. And just like Singleton, this will also require a realignment of Calamasa Boulevard, because as you know, Calamasa Boulevard dead ends at Cherry Valley Blvd, and it's very close to the current ramp. So we need to knock that east as well. Now, that part of the project is fully funded, and it's being funded through Riverside County Transportation Commission, regional arterial funds, and development impact fees. And we're designing it with economic development in mind, the realignment piece. We're trying to create a sizable commercial space to attract a large retailer. So we're already starting to have conversations about what that might look like, what the minimum size requirements for certain retailers that we're trying to attract, so that we can try to design this in a way that both, number one, meets the roadway standards that we need to meet, and number two, meets the size requirements for the retailer that we're trying to attract. And we're working with the developer that is looking to purchase the land in the area. So we'd basically only be working with one landowner for right-of-way acquisition, and they're looking to build a manufacturing facility that will bring high-quality jobs to the area. So not only would we bring that commercial piece for the community that we believe would not only serve the community well, but bring in a very good amount of sales tax revenue, but also an industrial building that's not a warehouse that'll actually do manufacturing. So we're really excited about both of those things. Work on the interchange itself, so that will be treated as a separate project, and we do intend to have that piece of the project done ahead of the interchange. But the interchange can't start really until, number one, the missing ramps at Singleton are installed, and number two, Roberts Road is reopened to Singleton. So right now we do have a gap there, and as I've shared with you before with Oak Valley Town Center, we are working feverishly to try to be able to go ahead and start building that road again. We're looking at alternatives too, even getting creative and trying to find a way to connect the end of New Roberts to maybe Old Roberts to realign it as a temporary alignment to just get traffic moving again as quickly as possible. That's really the goal here. It's to try to get traffic moving in this city and giving alternative routes for circulation and for public safety. So we're looking at all angles, all scenarios at this point to try to get creative. Obviously, our very first and foremost, there could be some challenges with land ownership now, the way that the final map was recorded to reopen the old alignment. So that might not be a possibility. So I'm just trying to be very transparent up front of what this may look like. We do have the right-of-way recorded for the new alignment, which is why we're trying to focus on getting that built. Obviously, we don't want to have to move traffic around more than we have to. But I think at this point, all options are on the table. So again, I think it's critical to have that connection made, because there will be closures at Cherry Valley Boulevard, not long closures, but there's going to be some closures when things are being built. When you have a major interchange project like that, you can't get that kind of thing built without some forms of closures. And we're not talking about 6 months. We're talking about maybe a weekend, a day, overnight. Most of them will be overnight to try to open before commuters have to hit the road. And that's part of the reason that projects like that take longer. If you could just shut down, if I could just shut down Cherry Valley Boulevard over Interstate 10 to construct that, the construction would probably only take a year rather than 18 to 24 months. But because you're trying to not only build a project, but trying to keep traffic moving across an existing bridge or existing infrastructure, it makes things a heck of a lot more complicated. So anyway, that's what we're working on. So those are all the projects. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me about any of these projects. I'd be happy to answer them. So we always want to try to give that as much information to the community as we can. So with that, we're going to wrap up this episode. Just a programming note, no episode next week due to the Thanksgiving holiday, so we will be not re-recording an episode next Thursday, or next Friday, excuse me. I will also not be doing episodes on December 26th or January 2nd, so I can refresh, re-gear, and gear up for some great episodes in 2025. So again, no episode next week, and also there are going to be no podcast episodes on December 26th or January 2nd. The next City Council meeting is Monday, December 2nd at 6 p.m. at the Norton Young Love Senior Center. You can attend in person or watch on the city's YouTube page by going to calamasa.gov/YouTube, then clicking on the Live tab. I hope to see everybody tonight at our tree lighting, again, starting at 5 p.m. at City Hall. Be there, be square. In the meantime, this is the Calamasa Insider Podcast. I am Will Kolbow, and I will talk to you again in 2 weeks. Have a great weekend and a great Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining us.